And here I have the pleasure to give the floor to Mrs. Silvina Giano. She's the Operations Manager for Tourism Research in the Department of Market Intelligence. And with this, Silvina, I have pleasure in giving you the floor. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Cordula. Good morning, good afternoon for everybody. I will share my presentation. I hope it is working now. Is it okay? Okay. Okay, well, thanks again for inviting us to this webinar and giving us the opportunity to share our experience. First, I would like to briefly introduce Buenos Aires as a destination. Buenos Aires, as you said, Cordula, is located in South America. It's the capital city of Argentina. It's an important tourist destination due to its cultural, historic, gastronomic attractions. Buenos Aires is the #1 conference destination in America according to ICA ranking, and was elected the best city to study in Latin America in the QS ranking during 2022. Just to give you an idea about the significance of tourism before COVID, I would like to say that before the pandemic, Buenos Aires received 10 million tourists every year, and this meant an income of $2,500 million. The Tourism Observatory is part of the tourism board. We belong to the Buenos Aires city government. We generate market intelligence to help orientate decision-making, both in the public and the private sector. Regarding the indicators, we use both traditional and unconventional data provided by, as I said, public and private sources. The data we work with in the observatory are dynamic, as Jonathan said, and it is very important. I agree with you, Jonathan, because the needs of information change, and we need to actualize our data. We try to adapt data provision to the circumstances and the needs of the information for their decision making. Now I would like to share with you the strategy we implemented to measure the economic benefits indicators since the reactivation of the tourism after the pandemic. Since the reopening of the borders and the reactivation of the tourism in the city, the focus of the measurement was the recovery in order to identify opportunities and barriers to the growth of the activity in the destination. The first step was defining what was the most relevant data at that moment to support decision making. Of course, the first indicator was the measurement of the tourist arrival to the city in order to analyze the pace of recovery and understand visitors' profiles. As we can see in the chart, the number of tourists arriving in the city in 2022 exceed expectations, as both domestic and international arrivals exceeded the goals set at the beginning of the year. In this indicator, the challenge we had as the observatory was to have monthly information first, and quickly the second challenge, which meant a strategy to work with the National Ministry of Tourism in order to have every month with the shortest delay. The strategy was not only to have the information on tourist arrival every month, but also knowing the country of origin of the visitors. Previously, every month we only knew the region of origin, not the country. As you can see, although regional markers were the ones that presented the biggest recovery, Brazil, our main market, had a slower recovery due to low air connectivity. On the contrary, other countries as Uruguay almost reached 2019 levels, with some months in which tourist arrival exceeded pre-pandemic levels. Another key indicator that we began to monitor in a on a monthly basis was the international and domestic air connectivity to detect routes with the worst recovery rates. In order to monitor this indicator accurately, we began to use a new database. This new database was the National Civil Aviation Administration database, which was added to the Aeropuertos Argentina 2000 database that we had been using previously. With this information, decision makers worked with airlines and the national government to recover strategic routes for the city, for Buenos Aires city. Another key fact, of course, was understanding the recovery of the hotel sector, both in terms of supply and demand. The evolution of the number of the open establishments, available rooms, among others. In the case of this indicator, we had to visit hotels periodically in order to record their status, if they were open or closed. This task was carried out periodically between the end of 2020 and the first half of 2022 in order to add updated information to the hotel occupancy survey data, which is the official source of information that we have historically used to monitor these sectors' data. In terms of methodology, a further modification that we had to implement was the quarterly follow-up of tourist spending. Before the pandemic, this indicator was reported annually, on annual basis. In this way, we were able to see how during the year 22, the spending per trip of international tourists increased, but with a decrease in daily spending. So what was happening? This was due to the increase in the average stay, which compensated the drop in the daily spending per tourist. This increase in the length of the stay is due to many factors. The first one is the higher proportion of visits of family and friends during the first half of the year. Second, the recovery of the leisure segment during the second half of the year. And third, the detriment of other segments, such as business, whose recovery is still far from the numbers of 2019. Once the main indicators for monitoring the recovery were defined and we had the data, the next challenge was how to distribute the information properly. Jonathan talked about this too. In order to offer periodic information, a monthly report of indicators was created. It provides information about the main indicators, such as tourist arrival, air connectivity, employment, tourist bus tickets, as well as short-term indicators, such as, for example, hotel occupancy during long weekends in the city. However, the monthly report is not a tool with a massive reach. So we worked on the updating of the tourism intelligence system dashboards, the dashboards we have in the tourism intelligence system. During this period, we had to choose what private databases we needed to buy so as to contribute specifically with the policies and the public policies and decision making. A new feature in this intelligence system is a specific dashboard that monitors the recovery of tourism. This one was incorporated. And to simplify the use of this site, we added a landing page. It is new that this landing page summarizes the status of the main tourism indicator in the city with monthly updates. Before finishing, I would like to share with you a bit about some challenges and learnings during this period post-COVID and the monitoring the economic benefits in the destination. First, the importance of the flexibility, as I said before, because Information needs change depending the context, and we have to be prepared to offer the best possible data. Second, data opportunity. This means adjusting the methodology and the different process in order to deliver the necessary information at the right time. Third, speed. The speed, I mean the optimization of the time and real-time reports, ideally. And last, but not less important, the importance of strong links with information providers and the search of new sources of information so as to improve the data quality we provide. This is all we wanted to share with you. Thanks again for the invitation. A pleasure to be here today.
Dear Silvina, thank you so much for your very valuable insights. When listening to you, we get the feeling that you are very experienced, and we know that Buenos Aires is one of the long-standing members of INSTO, where you notice also not only through the INSTO membership, but as such that Buenos Aires has a lot of experiences in this particular aspect. So we congratulate you on this experiences, insights. The challenge also to deal with this many data sets that you have to extract the most important data, which data to use, how to turn it into the information, and how to turn this into relevant policy decisions or strategy designs is definitely for everyone a challenge. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your know-how on this. It's really a pleasure listening to Buenos Aires and to its observatory in this regard.